Where do you find a house to flip? That's the other big question. Everybody goes, "Oh my gosh, I don't know where do you find one?" If you are working with a realtor, which I strongly suggest you do, that understands working with flippers and investor flippers, then they know how, and I can teach them how to pull up certain searches that will give you what you need off of MLS to buy. So that's the number one place. You can get them through networking groups. If you network with a lot of people, get the word out. Everybody knows somebody that's got a house that is old or dilapidated or run down or needs help, or somebody's trying to get out of it real fast and they need someone to buy the house. Um, Investment clubs, I have a lot of investment clubs that I attend. Those work out really well because you've got other investors there that get themselves in trouble. They need to sell their house. And they'll usually, unfortunately, take a dive on it to get it out of it. And then you've got something to work with already. Um, I used seller JVs when I first got into business because that was the easiest way to make a deal on a house. And a seller JV can work two ways. I can buy it where I take over the mortgage, or I can buy it where I just JV with the seller. The caveat to this means, but the seller must move out of the house. I can't renovate while the seller's living there. So he has to be committed to move out. And if I seller JV with him, I usually only give him about 25% of the profits. You can do 30, I wouldn't do 50. He's not the one taking the risk and doing the work. So don't do that. My most preferable is for me to be able to take over the mortgage on that particular house because his loan is more than likely at 3%, 4%. If I go get a hard money loan, I'm paying 12 to 15 to 16%, considerably different on how much I'm paying per month. So I'd rather take over his loan. He gets out. If he can't afford to get out, I'll give him cash for keys at closing, up to $3,000, so that he can pack up, get a U-Haul, and move and have a deposit for somewhere else where he's going to rent, more likely. So that's something that comes in hand. That one where you're working with your seller, it's subject to financing, is what it's called, and it doesn't have to be a distressed seller. A lot of times I run into subject to financing if indeed they have had somebody that just has to go to assisted living. They're still alive, but they're still incapacitated or cannot live alone anymore. And those are houses that are really good for subject to financing. I know that house has been, a mortgage has been for a long time at a really low interest rate. So it turns out to be a nice thing to have. Wholesalers are the ones that find the deals first, don't want to renovate, just want to sell it off. So they're the middleman. They find the house, they're the ones that have it. You're the one that's going to buy it at the end. So they are making 10 to 15,000 off of the sale of that house. And then I always, if I'm working on MLS, and the seller turns me down flat, I will resubmit my offer every 30 days. At some point, that seller is going to come where he's going to realize my offer was the best thing he could have gotten, and he'll take it. I've had some that I've had to go 6 months, some 8 months, but it still worked out really well. The one that I didn't talk about that's really a sweet spot if you learn how to work it, and that's called economic development. Every city has an economic development department. Those are, their purview is that they have to make everything in the city, all land, bring in tax dollars for the city to run on. If they have lots that are vacant or they have dilapidated houses that have been abandoned, they're not making any tax dollars for the city, so they're worthless to them, quite frankly. You can go in and usually get a list from them on what they have in their purview of what they're planning to get rid of, and then you can see if you can make a deal on those. We went out to a little city out here in East Texas. We got 19 lots for $5,000 and built little houses on them. Can't get any cheaper and better than that. And those things sold like hotcakes, and we made quite a bit of money doing that. So it's really a nice piece to work. It's going to take you a little bit more time to get into the city economic development department, but once you master that, it'll be a real nice gem for you. Okay, sellers have pain points. They do not care if you're going to make the house pretty. They don't care if you're going to make money. Actually, they're envious if you're going to make money. They want you to communicate that you understand their pain points. Remember, everything is when you're working with other people is with them. What's in it for me? That's exactly how a seller interprets everything. So you have to keep that in mind when you're working with a seller. You want to talk to them about what the budget is. You want to talk to them about what this subcontractor discount is going to be. No, just forget it. They're already skeptical of you. They already don't like your realtor because they're skeptical of them too. So all they care about is you're going to solve their problems in a timely manner, make everything as happy and quick and easy and painless as they can as possible. I've also, like I said a while ago, I have to give cash for keys. If you have a seller that's in dire straits, he doesn't have the money to move out, but you got to have the house and you have to have it vacant. So he's got to go. That's the only way you're going to do it. Only time I do cash for keys is if I get subject to financing where I take over the loan and the seller moves out, and then I give him money at closing for that.